Hello my beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to a part 2 of monthly collective haul of July, where I am going to be talking all about eyeshadow palettes that I've tried through the month of July. So today I have a good mix of luxury brands, indie brands, drugstore, and even singles to talk to you about. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Eve and I love all things beauty. Here on my channel, I share about makeup, skincare, hair care, and at times lifestyle things like travel, fashion, and lifestyle vlogs. I upload new videos every week, and if that sounds fun to you, I hope you stick around, enjoy this video, subscribe to my channel, and now without further ado, let's dive in. I'm excited for today's video because I have a very good range of products to talk about. I have a McGrath palette, I have indie brand palette, the first time that I've tried something from that brand. Then I have singles. Yes, I said singles. I am generally not a single eyeshadow type of person, but you may be surprised what I have to tell you today. I also do have a drugstore eyeshadow palette to talk about, so let's get into it. Most of these products have been already featured on my channel. I will link all those videos in the description box for your reference, or in the cards, or at the end of this video in the cards for you to enjoy. You can find more stuff on my Instagram in the posts and IG Reels. So the first palette that I want to talk about is the collaboration between GLAMLITE and HERSHEY'S. So this collection was launched with two different parts. One was called, I believe, a milk chocolate, and this one is cookies and cream. And I picked up a eyeshadow palette and a lip trio, which I already spoken about the lip trio in a different video. This is your smoky eye perfection. I have a dedicated video when I tried this entire collection on camera. I've tried GLAMLITE eyeshadow formula in the past, and I believe the last palette that I purchased from them was last year. And I have to say that they definitely improved their formula, and it's significantly improved to my opinion. Not so much of shimmers, because I think their shimmers were already excellent back then, but the matte formula specifically was improved. It's so good. It is so good. And I feel like now with this formulation of mattes and shimmers, they're kind of like leveled up on the same high level. The mattes are so easy to work with. I created a beautiful smoky eye in my video when I tested this, and that was probably one of the easiest smoky eyes that I've ever done in my entire life. I'm not even exaggerating. It was just so easy to work with this formula. It's so easy to control. So when I initially saw this palette, I knew I wanted it. I definitely love all these like denim looking grays and blues. I do not necessarily love gray shades on me because I feel like they look harsh on my skin tone. I was definitely drawn to some of these like taupey shades and some of these blue tones. I'm actually wearing two lip products on my lips today from this collection, and I've been really loving those as well. So they definitely did something with this collection. There's so much quality in this. I am a huge chocoholic. I love chocolate, all things chocolate, and whenever I see collabs with like chocolatey things, it automatically like naturally draws my attention. It's of course not why I purchased this palette. I really thought that this palette had potential for being a really beautiful smoky eye, knowing that how beautiful the shimmers are from GLAMLITE, and these tones are definitely unique to my collection. I think the collab was super fun, and the quality is top notch. I was very impressed. I have to say that I've been using this shade a lot in my inner corner because it's a beautiful icy bright inner corner. I suffer from insomnia. A lot of times I just need that pop in my inner corner to brighten up my eyes, to make me look like I'm awake and just camouflage my tiredness. So this shade would definitely do it for me. I really enjoy like a bright inner corner because it's just almost like a necessity for me, because a lot of times I just look tired, and this type of makeup really saves the day for me. And this is beautiful, like icy, super bright, super reflective, like wet looking type of formula. And this transition shade is very beautiful. I've been using it with the combinations of my other makeup looks. This palette just sits on my vanity here because I've been reaching to this shade primarily, and this was my second use shade just on a daily basis. Also really love how compact the packaging is, and there's a beautiful, very useful mirror. I think this launch was not only fun, but also very high quality. So then I also purchased this palette from NYX. It's called Ultimate Paradise Shock. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they already had palettes like this, and these may be reformulated and just added color stories. I've never tried the previous ones, but let me know in the comments below if you tried those and what your thoughts of them are, and if you've tried this new launch. So they've launched this 16 pan palettes and in few variations, and I've only picked up one. As a matter of fact, I've never tried an eyeshadow formula from NYX before, ever, and this was my first one. So when I saw these palettes being launched, I was definitely curious, and this color story definitely got my attention because To my opinion, it is a really nice transitional palette between like summer to fall. It has a little bit of warmness in it and a little bit of grunginess. And I have to say that I was very, very impressed by the quality. I do not know, again, what the previous formulas were within these palettes, but this one is a really nice quality. It is a $20 palette, so for a drugstore, I can't say this is like a cheap palette. However, this is a really nice quality palette. I really enjoy that you can create a lot of different looks with this because there are just so many different color combinations, yet it is very wearable. I've been reaching for this palette quite a bit, and I think it's going to be my new favorite palette to travel with because first of all, it gives you versatility, and it is also a very easy formula to work with. The shimmers here are very beautiful. They're also quite different. So you have dark shimmers here, and you get a little bit lighter shimmers that you can put into your inner corner and your brow bones. And then I do love that they're lighter mattes, that they're darker mattes, that they're colorful mattes, they're neutral mattes. This brown matte shade right here is considerably dark. It gives you a really nice depth. So if you wanted to turn any look into a smoky eye, you can. It shows up really beautiful. I mean, it's not patchy. It packs really nicely and it blends really nicely. So I find the quality being very, very user-friendly, especially for this being a drugstore palette. I don't know, this may be maybe the best drugstore palette that I've ever tried. I don't have a ton of drugstore palettes, but I think this is a really nice quality from the drugstore at the moment that I've tried. I have been really enjoying this palette. I really love how compact it is, and I know I will be traveling with this palette. I definitely can see myself traveling with this palette because how much versatility you get. The mattes are very easy to work with, and the shimmers are very, very pretty and reflective. I did not have a ton of expectations from trying this formula, but I was pleasantly surprised how nice it is. So now let's chat about this beauty right here. This is Sugar and Grunge eyeshadow palette from NOMAD Cosmetics. So it says 24 shades for the 90s sweetheart, and it's a palette for eyes and face. It does have eyeshadow formulas and the face pigments. The outside packaging, if you know how much I love flowers, you know this is what got me into this palette in the first place, or partially, let's say, got me into buying this palette. But also, I've never tried anything from NOMAD Cosmetics before, so I was really curious about the formula, and the color story appealed to me a lot. I really love the packaging, and there's a really nice mirror here. This is my very first NOMAD Cosmetics eyeshadow palette, and even though I am not at the moment trying to purchase larger palettes, I am more into mid-sized to smaller palettes these days. However, I wanted to try formula from this brand because I've heard so many wonderful things about it, and I love when my palettes have mattes and shimmers. I also love when there are combinations of mattes that would help you to make seamless transitional blended looks. And this is what this palette gives you. It gives you rows of coordinated colors, and you can definitely blend into monochromatic looks, or you can also do combinations of shades. And I have really enjoyed the matte formula. They're just so easy to work with. These mattes are beautiful, and the shimmer formula is so beautiful. I really love that there are some deeper shimmers here, and then there are also some lighter ones, so you can do full complete looks with this palette. I really love that there are some shimmers here that are lighter, and then there are also some that are like mid-tone, a little bit deeper, that you can really create like full looks out of this and put some into your inner corner as well. This palette was launched in summer, and you would think it's a summer launch. However, I see spring here. I see smoky eyes here for your holiday. I see the fall with the burgundies and greens. I see Halloween with the purples and greens. I see very beautiful Easter looks, something that's lighter, the lighter pastel shades that you can pair with these beautiful shimmers. The shimmers also layer beautifully. If you like to layer your shimmers, you can sheer them out. Like the lighter ones, you can sheer them out and they would give you almost like a topper effect, but then you can also build them up and pack them and it would give you a beautiful opacity. It is considerably colorful palette, but I do see a lot of options here for using this palette throughout the year. And I think this is, for me personally, for my collection, this is where the value lays. At the moment, I have a huge eyeshadow palette collection, and I do like to rotate my eyeshadow palettes between seasons and occasions and whatnot, but there are also palettes that I would love to reach year round. If you are that person that you like to have a little bit smaller curated collection, but you'd like to make sure that using your eyeshadow palettes throughout the year and you get that usage out of the palettes, then this is, I think, that palette that you could use year round and get so many different looks out of it. I think the formulas, both mattes and shimmers, are wonderful, and I'm happy I tried this palette. So then I also picked up the Mothership 8 Divine Rose 2 eyeshadow palette from McGrath. I just love how luxury the packaging is for this palette. It's just so gorgeous. It just feels like it belongs to the museum. I also really enjoy the formula of the eyeshadow palettes from Pat McGrath. I do have a few of the Mothership palettes. This is a number 8 Mothership, and I think they just recently launched, what, number 12, if I'm not mistaken. This palette has 2 mattes and shimmers here. And then these 4 are her special glitzy blitzy shades. I enjoy Pat McGrath formula, but I also know that I'm not a collector of her palettes. Love her formula, but I also know that the price tag is hefty, and I would love to maybe continue with my Pat McGrath Mothership eyeshadow palettes, adding them to my collection little by little, but I don't want them to look alike or too much alike, if that makes sense. Of whatever I have right now, I feel they're different enough from each other, especially when it comes to her matte formulas. This palette was one that I was drawn in because these shimmers are very beautiful, and the other palettes from Pat McGrath and her Mothership palettes that I have, they do not have these shades. This is a very beautiful bright gold, and I really was drawn to this beautiful pink. This is the one that I created the look with, and this one I really love. Look how beautiful that is. It does have a shift. It almost looks like a duochrome that shifts from green to purple. So stunning. So just these 3 shades, they draw me so much. This shade right here is beautiful. It's more of like a softer satin side, but it does have a shift from like the frosty champagne one to a little bit of pink, so it almost in a way is a duochrome, and it works very beautifully as a highlighter. So I personally very much enjoy this palette. I think it fits into like a spring summer type of mood for me because of the pinks and golds, and just gives me like very soft like pinky base for my looks. I can also create a really beautiful like burgundy kind of look that would fit into like transition into the fall. I've had my eyes on this palette for quite some time, and I don't have any regrets purchasing this. I think the quality is there as always, and the color story is interesting. Because this palette was launched quite some time ago, I haven't done any dedicated video on it necessarily. I did show some of the content on my Instagram, but let me know if you want me to use this on camera. Let me know in the comment section below. The other product that I want to talk about is this tiny little thing. This is a shade shifter duochrome single eyeshadow from LA Girl. This is in the shade Sunset. This is the one that shifts from burgundy to gold to green. It is so stunning. Look at the reflect. It looks absolutely glassy, and I hope you guys can see the shift. It goes on skin so smoothly. I think the camera picks up a little bit of it. Disregard these swatches, please, because it's just hard to remove them. These are considerably new launches, and I think there are only 4 shades available, and I was interested in just one. I'm generally not a single eyeshadow person. I prefer eyeshadow palettes. However, I am happy that they launched them in this very common size, and it's round. That brings me to my next item in this video, but this is the reason why I even decided to buy this single, because first of all, I was drawn to the shade of it. The quality turned out to be exceptional, and it is a type of color that I know I will be using in my makeup routines even on a daily basis. I really enjoy that shift. It shifts really beautifully, and it will be perfect for fall. I can already see myself using that, but I also wanted to make sure that I can travel with it and not forget that I even have it. And that brings me to this next item, which is a single Liberty System from NABLA that was just recently launched, and I made 2 different palettes. So the single eyeshadow palettes, it came in different formulations, from mattes to satins to very special shifty shades. But if you purchase any of the 4 eyeshadows, the palette would come in free. I've done a very up close detailed video on these when I was trying them on camera, and I created a makeup look also in that video. We'll have the video linked in the description box for your reference. So I will not be going into details about the shades. You guys already know how much I love NABLA eyeshadow formula, and their mattes are spectacular, and their shimmers, I love that they have like different formulas in shimmers. I really love the components. They're very comfortable. They are also very sleek, and they are magnetic. They clip together like that, making a very nice compact palette. There are dots, there are spaces in the back, so you can pop the eyeshadows out. Obviously, the size of these pans is the same that LA Girl also has. So I actually, let me go back to this LA Girl and say a few more things about this. When you purchase this, the pan has this little opening here that makes you think that this is a removable eyeshadow, or it's magnetic rather. But when you initially buy it, the pan is actually glued to this component. So I was very careful and separated the glue. I attached the little magnet to the back of it, and now it is magnetic for this palette, and the size fits into the space right here. So I know that I will be taking that little LA girl shadow with me when I travel with my basics. So I am very, very happy with this system. This makes it look like an eyeshadow palette for me, and I don't have a issue with it forgetting that I had these eyeshadows because I'm gonna store them with my palettes and I can see through them. I have a good handful of single eyeshadows and I forget about them because they come in their own little containers and they do not fit into anything else. I don't really like to have those like large Z palettes too much because I can see through a lot of them. The ones that are out there in the market, some of them come with clear windows, but it just, sometimes they're too big, sometimes the pans are different sizes, and it's all mishmash. When it comes to eyeshadow palettes, I get an inspiration not only from the shades, but from the palette. So this aesthetic look definitely gives me a portion of inspiration when it comes to creating looks and being excited about doing the eye makeup looks. So when things are just in a Z palette where you can't see through, that the design doesn't make sense, and like all the shadows could be like different sizes and different pans and shapes and whatnot, I feel like I'm not inspired. It just looks messy to me. This is how my brain works. So that's why I prefer full built eyeshadow palettes, just for that reason. But this system, it makes me happy because it looks like palettes and I can clip two of them together. I can remove some of the shades and put some other ones. So as far as this quad that I did, I really enjoy these three because they're pretty standard. Like these are matte formulas and this is really nice, like full opacity shimmer. This specific shadow I was a little bit disappointed about because I was hoping to get exactly this color payoff that you see here in the pan, and it looks a little bit less like that, a little less limey and more yellow, more of like a lemon rather than a lime. And as far as these shades, I think I like them all. This palette has a few different shimmer formulations here that I combined. This shade right here, I can't remember the name for it, but I'll pop it for you here on the screen. This has a shift to pink, like from icy to pink. This also makes a beautiful highlighting shade. I've tried this over the Barbie pink blush and it just looks so stunning. This shade also looks beautiful on eye. This shade I really love. What's that shade from Urban Decay that everybody was obsessing about? Space Cowboy, right? Was that the name for it? And look at this one. This reminds me of that shade so much. It's just so smooth, it's so reflective. It almost feels a little bit duochromy. It does have like purple, pink reflect to it, just so gorgeous. These two shades are different formulas. They are the same formula, but they're different from the other two that I just spoke about. As you can see, they give you like that wet lid effect. They're very, very glossy. This is a very interesting formulation. They swatch like they have full opacity, but on the eyes, they look better when they are like toppers, when you sheer them out. I think this was a really good launch. If you're already a fan of NABLA eyeshadow formula, you would not regret these. Oh, I also have a story for you that I promised I will share with you. So whenever the launch was announced, it had all these details, right? The pricing, the formulas, the date, but it didn't have time. This is also a European-based beauty brand, and the time of launch was not indicated, maybe purposefully because they maybe didn't want everybody to be there at the same time. So I woke up that day and probably it was like mid-morning that I went on their website and I checked if stuff was available. As a matter of fact, it was available, but half of the things were sold out already. So when I started shopping, when I started adding things to the cart, they were still available. But by the time I got to the cart, a lot of things were no longer available. And I was like, okay, well, this is happening so much faster than I thought it was gonna be. The funniest part was when I started checking out and then I realized that everything is in Italian, and I was on my phone, and when I scrolled down, I wanted to change the language to English. It let me change it to English, but then it completely threw me off of the window that I was. So it started glitching. Then I had to go back to the window, go back to my cart, and then I realized that there were some eyeshadows that were also not available again. So by the time this glitch happened, some of the items that I already had in my cart to be checked out is no longer available. So I was like, well, now I'm missing eyeshadows. So now I'm going back to the shopping and trying to add more shades to get 2 full components filled with eyeshadow. Plus, it also did not change the language. It put it back to Italian. And I was like, okay, well, now I don't understand what I'm looking at. And so I went back, I added a few more eyeshadows. I went back to my cart, I scrolled down again and changed it to English again. The same thing happens again. And then I was like, okay, well, it's clearly a glitch. So there's probably too many people trying to shop at the same time. The website can't handle it. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna check out in Italian. I'm gonna just go with it. So here I am with my Google Translator trying to see what's happening and what am I clicking on, like where the information goes, where am I at, because I can't understand anything. So I speak Spanish, but I don't speak Italian. And Italian and Spanish are like somewhat similar. You can probably get a gist if you read the words, but I was like, well, some words are kind of recognizable from what I already know in Spanish, but some of them were just so different. I was like, I have no idea what they mean. So here I am sitting on the checkout, trying to not to lose all the items that are barely hanging there, you know, as is. And I'm trying to translate, going between my Google Translator and the checkout, keeping an eye on the items, making sure things are not selling out. And then at one point I was like, oh my God, this is way too much stress for just buying makeup. This is like absolutely not necessary to go through this much stress. I honestly do not know how, but I ended up filling out all the fields that were there. So I was just hoping I would get the confirmation email when I checked out, because when I was putting in my information in that checkout section, I was like, I was not even sure if I was putting right stuff in the right places. But when I got that email confirmation, I was like, okay, I guess I did the right things. So that was my shopping experience from NABLA website. I know if you would go to desktop, it would easily let you change the language, but I guess maybe because it was from the phone and because it was just their launch date and so many people were shopping at the same time, it definitely couldn't handle the stress and the amount of people being there at the same time. But all the items got delivered to me in a timely manner. Everything was packaged beautifully and everything came in one piece. There was no damage done to any of my items. So let me know if you also tried this launch from NABLA, what your thoughts are, if you're thinking to purchase them or not, if you have any NABLA eyeshadow palettes and love them as much as I do. But these are all the eyeshadows and singles and eyeshadow palettes that I wanted to share with you today, give you my roundup thoughts. So let me know if you own any of these eyeshadow palettes, or if you've tried any of these singles from NABLA or LA Girl, and if you've tried anything from these brands that I've talked about today. Leave me additional questions if you have any in the comment section below. I would be more than happy to chat with you there. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. We'll leave all the related videos for you in the cards here at the end of the video for you to enjoy, as well as in the description box, everything that I've talked about and mentioned. So if you enjoyed this video, give this a big thumb up. It does help my channel out. And if you're not yet a subscriber, I invite you to subscribe to my channel before you leave today. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next videos.